are listening to the Pathfinder Guru Podcast, where we help you to become a greater leader. Join us as we take the Advent message to all the world in our generation. So, are you ready to become a guru in this ministry?
Attention! Welcome to the Pathfinder Guru Podcast, and thank you very much for joining us. I hope that you're doing well and you're safe under the shadow of God's wonderful wings, and you are doing all that can be done to ensure that children are safe under the shadow of God's wonderful wings. Let us try to push. It is difficult to be in the ministry, to be a leader in the ministry, to try and get things together, bring children together so that they may see how good God is in their lives, in everything that we do as a club and in their individual lives. They may be able to see the beautiful works of the Lord. It is our duty to do that, no matter how difficult it may be. Let us try by all means to ensure that we keep them safe under the shadow of His wonderful wings. In today's episode, we are going to talk about safeguarding our children. We live in a world that is very dangerous, in a world that is unpredictable, in a world that we need to be mindful of and face reality. When we look at outside institutions like schools, when a particular person, whether it's a cleaner, whether it's a security guard, whether it's a teacher, wants to work with children, what usually happens is that that particular person has to go through a certain process of ensuring that this person does not have bad related crimes against children, whether it's abuse, whether it's sexual crimes, and a lot of related crimes to children. And you find out that if you have such a charge, you are not allowed to work with children or be around children or be employed in a particular place that deals with children, because you are deemed as unfit to work with children. Now, the question that I have to you is that, to the people that you work with in your Pathfinder club, in your Adventurer club, do they, or rather, let me just put it like this, are they aware of this? Because sometimes we end up doing things for the sake of people loving the ministry, people coming in, and somehow we welcome them because we are overwhelmed. Sometimes we are a small club or we are short-staffed. We just take anything and anyone because we feel as if we need to close the gap. But do we take measures of ensuring that we are safeguarding our children from potential threats? Now, I'm not saying each and every person is a person that has been deemed or is allegedly having crimes related to children. But also what you need to take note as a leader is that anything is possible. Now, today, in this generation, we live in an unpredictable world, as I've said. Now, there are certain things that you need to ask yourself and you need to protect yourself. More especially when you are having new people coming into the ministry, whether it's parents, whether it's new members getting a transfer from another church, or new baptized members, or even area coordinators. We need to ensure that everyone is protected. Our children are safe under the shadow of God's wonderful wings. We need to do that. Because once we neglect that thing, we will find ourselves in difficult situations that we will find hard to explain to parents, because we have let a certain individual come into the club because that person loved the ministry, energetic and willing to work with children, does not mean that he or she needs to be trusted fully. There are certain things that you need to do, procedures that they need to follow. Now, you may be wondering to yourself, what procedures can you follow? Now, the procedures that needs to follow is that this person comes into the ministry or comes in as a person that loves to work with children, is interested in assisting, whatever the case may be. It is your duty as a director to ensure that this person is trained trained to how to deal with children, trained to say, if you are in one-on-one conversation with a child, how do you handle it? If you are now having to talk to a female child about a certain thing, how do you protect, number one, the child, and number two, yourself? How then do you engage in certain things? Because sometimes you may find out that you have a child that is a loving child, that loves to hug people, that loves to, is an open child. But if that thing is dealt, or rather a person views it in a wrong way, it ends up being a problem. So we need, as leaders, to protect these two parties, more especially the child. But once we train leaders who are coming in your Pathfinder Club, who are interested in being with children and assisting children, you need to put certain things in place, like training them. Secondly, you can even ensure that whenever there's a discussion or whenever they're in a conversation with a child, do not do it in closed doors. Ensure that it's in an open area where everyone can see you, so that you are protecting the child, number one, and the individual who is interested, even yourself as a director, because you are ensuring that everything is dealt with in a correct manner. What you can also do is require a background check. Those are certain things that we need to talk about in the ministry, that we need to start applying. That when anyone that wants to work with children has to provide a particular clearance. Now, police clearance differs from country to country, but you need to find out what your conference recommends so that you are able to implement it at your own local church. You can also ensure that everyone is protected and parents feel safe about giving their children to the club, because there is a certain barrier of protection and ensuring that each and every person that works with children does not have any criminal charges related to that. It makes life easier. Now, many of us may say, but now we are having master guides who are now doing the new updated master guide curriculum, which now enforces that all master guides, or as a prerequisite, have to comply and do a background check because they are working with children. But now we also know that most of the time we are having people who are loving the ministry but who are not master guides. What do we say about that? Secondly, we are having master guides who did not do this new 2020 version of the master guide, but they've done other previous versions, 2013, and you name them. Then how are you going to safeguard against that? So once you implement it at your own local church, that whenever you want to work with children, we are going to train you. Number two, if you find yourself in a situation whereby you're having a child that is bubbly, that loves hugging, that loves touching, how do you deal with that? And also the third one is ensuring that there's a background check done. You're not only protecting the person, but you're also protecting the children, and parents feel safe. I understand this is a difficult conversation to have with somebody because it looks like you are maybe accusing them or something, but it is a good step in the right direction. And once you enforce it in the church and it is approved by the church, things will become much more easier, because even the church board will be in support of it, because we do not want to find ourselves having people working with children but are having charges against them related to child criminal offenses. So let us be careful what we do and ensure that we keep our children safe. And once we do that, things will become much more easier. Whether it's a person that comes from the community who is interested and willing to assist, it applies. Whether it's another member transferring from another church, it still applies. Yes, the church may do some research to find out about this person, but this adds an extra layer of protection between the individual and the children, so that when all is said and done, there may be peace and children may be happy. We are running a ministry, and you are the director of that Pathfinder Club or that Venturer Club. And it is upon you to ensure that children are safe. You are going to have uncomfortable conversations. You are a leader. You are going to have difficult questions to answer because you are a leader. So ensure that you deal with the difficult parts today so that they may not be things that you may regret tomorrow. Let us protect our children, protect our leaders also, because it's a two-way street at some points, so that when all is said and done, all honor and glory may go to God. Thank you very much, but for now, you are dismissed.